Hello again, and welcome to Deflasking Common Techniques for Complete Dentures II in the Department of Restorative Dentistry for New York City College of Technology. My name is Professor Oscar Galvis. Let's begin. The previous instructional video on deflasking had content with techniques and methods that align with the Air Force manual. This video is to show more common techniques used within the dental laboratory setting. Although some portions differ, many remain the same. The first step, as before, is to remove the carrier press from the curing unit and then retrieve the flask from the carrier press. As before, the first step is to remove the lid. Sometimes this can be done with a light tap to the flask. After, the safest is to apply force carefully onto the knockout plate. This is done in the absence of a flask ejector once again. In this portion of the video, you see the use of a metal hammer. It is my suggestion that you use a rubber mallet instead. This will aid in preventing damage happening to the brass flask. Strategically applying the force with the rubber mallet will usually dislodge a majority of the stone from the flask. Once the stone investment has been removed from the brass flasks, a common tool that would be used would be a pneumatic chisel. In the absence of a pneumatic chisel, you can wedge a plaster knife between the seams of the stone surfaces and apply force with the mallet. The stone should separate easily. Remember, no matter the technique, the stone should be cleared off of the base of the model. This is done in preparation for the future remount procedure. As long as there are no major undercuts in the palatal area, the investment stone can be removed with ease using a plaster knife. Lab putty, although expensive, is a great material to use to capture the characteristics of your wax-up. This is done during the flasking stage. The results of using lab putty are seen here. The mandibular denture tends to be the one that's most difficult to deflask. This is due to the tongue space. There's a large risk of the denture base fracturing when trying to remove the stone from the tongue space. Making use of that plaster saw is a great way to avoid the risk. If bisecting the investment stone in the tongue space does not dislodge the stone immediately, continue to section the stone. It will dislodge eventually. Once again, the use of laboratory putty during the flasking stages allows for a really accurate representation of the wax-up. The next step in complete denture fabrication is selective grinding. In order to do so, the models must be returned to their original articulations and remounted. In order to properly selective grind, all stone or interferences on occlusal surfaces or any tooth-to-tooth contact surfaces needs to be removed. This is commonly done using a shell blaster or sand blaster at a very low PSI. According to the Air Force manual, this is ill-advised. The reason being that the sand particles can damage the base of the stone, making it difficult to return to its original articulation. So if a technician decides to use these means, they should proceed with caution.